You're watching the Southland Conference on ESPN. Happy Saturday night from Abilene, Texas, in the new temporary home of the Abilene Christian Wildcats, the Teague Special Events Center. Good matchup tonight. Tarleton State is in town at 1-1 against 4-0 Abilene Christian. Good evening, everybody. Welcome inside the studio where we're going to be all season long. Zach Carlisle alongside Owen Simpson. Glad to have you with us. This is an outstanding matchup tonight. And we've got two really good players on each side that we're going to talk about. Let's dive right into the impact players for tonight's game. Corian Mason and Montre Gibson might just be two of the best players in mid-major hoops.
Yeah, Corian Mason for the Wildcats isn't necessarily someone who's going to blow you away in the stat numbers, but he is a phenomenal defensive threat for any team that faces his path. Meanwhile, Montre Gibson putting out a phenomenal performance against Texas A&M earlier this week, played a full 40 minutes. This guy is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch this game, by the way, either. You got Tarleton State, who is in their first year as a Division I program, their third game as a Division I program, up against a 4-0 Abilene Christian team. These are two really talented teams, and I think it's going to be a good game tonight.
Yeah, and both of these teams are young in their Division I careers. Abilene Christian just a few years ahead of Tarleton State. So when you look at both of these teams, it's a great opportunity to face a young program like Tarleton State in their first year. And Tarleton has a tough schedule this season for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. They're going to play a lot of top-ranked teams on the road. It's just a team that, as we mentioned, just moved up to NCAA Division I. Billy Gillespie, their head coach. Abilene Christian, 4-0, kind of turning into a perennial power in mid-major over the last couple of years. Back-to-back 20-win seasons. And I think this team at 4-0 looked really good at a tournament in Florida. And are coming off of a win on Tuesday. This is just a matchup that these are two good teams, two good defensive teams. It has the makings of a close game here tonight.
Yeah, and Abilene Christian also a little banged up. They were last game around. Joe Pleasant not playing in their last win at home against Howard Payne. He's in the lineup but not starting for the Wildcats today.
Yeah, and this game being a part of the West Texas Classic and should be a fun one. You got the 7-footer Colton Cole who's going to jump for Abilene Christian. And Tarleton State, it's Jonathan Jackson Jr. Glad to have you with us tonight on ESPN+. And Tarleton controls the opening tip, and off we go from Abilene, Texas, and a quick bucket. It's Shamir Bogues in the paint. Boy, that happened in a blur.
Yeah,
for the Texans.
A good start for Tarleton, a team that emphasizes defense, making an offensive impact early.
Starting five, Abilene Christian, a couple of guys that can handle the point in the starting five with Reggie Miller and Damian Daniels. Colton Cole, the big 7-footer as well. And Arion Simmons, his first career start for ACU. And it's a good starting five, too, an athletic group with Gibson and Hicks, Shakur Daniel, Shamir Bogues as well for the Texans. Here's Daniels to the paint for the travel first out there on the outside. The first turnover of the game.
Yeah, turnover's a big problem for Abilene Christian. Last game at home. This is only their second home game of the season. They're looking to be a little bit more protective with the basketball in this one.
I love these two defenses, too. If you like lower scoring, you like bodies in the paint, rebounding, I think this is the matchup for you because Tarleton can lock you down. And here's the defense for Arion Simmons, the sophomore, and he is going to shoot free throws in transition. They liked him as a freshman, a year of experience, and he's getting his first start tonight.
Yeah, and that's a big guy, a hard guy to stop, over 260 pounds at 6'9", or excuse me, 6'7", with Simmons, and that's a guy who has been a big defensive impact for the Wildcats, something that both of these teams really emphasize, a defense creating offense mentality.
Second on the team in rebounds a year ago, the sophomore out of Little Rock, Arkansas. He gets Abilene Christian on the board. This is an ACU team that comes in averaging 75 points a game, but the more impressive numbers, they're giving up just 57 defensively. Arion Simmons ties this thing up early on. Backcourt pressure from Abilene Christian, too. Fascinated by the athleticism that Tarleton brings, and there is a charge taken defensively, Corian Mason.
And you love to see the Wildcat bench get all excited after that. That's the team camaraderie. Excuse me, that this Abilene Christian team, a team that has several players that have been playing alongside each other for years on end.
And a near steal from Shamir Bogues and Tarleton. Half court set for ACU. The big fella's getting double teamed inside, and they go out to Mason. Deep on the three, and the rebound hauled in. It's Daniel. Coach Billy Gillespie loves this team so far. He's having so much fun coaching this group. They've handled COVID very well. They've played together for just their third game with so many new faces. 15 new players on this Tarleton roster.
And a lot of these players coming from where he coached in previous years at Ranger College. He has been able to show that it appears not only he's a great coach, but he's also a great recruiter with players that he's coached in previous years, bringing them to where he coaches now at Tarleton State for his first year.
And Jonathan Jackson, one of those formerly at Ranger College, at the line for the Texans. Senior out of Fort Worth. He was at Prairie View A&M as well. Third school in 3 years for Jackson. Second free throw offline. So I think the biggest question for Abilene Christian coming into this season was who's going to score the basketball. Peyton Ricks lost to graduation. Here's Daniels, and there's a three. And maybe some of these questions have been answered so far. The first triple of the game goes to Daniels.
And just his second three-pointer of the season. Yeah, you talk about that. Head coach Joe Golding for the Wildcats, he said at the beginning of this season that the scoring is going to come from a bunch of players. One day it may be one player. The next game it could be a completely different. So it's not necessarily going to be a one-player scoring team. It's going to be a variety of opportunities.
There are easily 10 guys they can go to on any night with starters and 5 off the bench. We'll keep our eye on Joe Pleasant tonight for ACU. He is out there on the floor right now, number 32, the junior out of Kansas. Here's Daniels, open again. Mason's second attempt from 3. This time connects. Abilene Christian with a couple of triples to start the night.
So a good balanced offensive attack to start for this Wildcat team. They want to be able to shoot from deep, but they also don't want to be one-dimensional. Good shot there.
Freddie Hicks, boy, he can handle the rock. I love his ball handling ability, and that one was sent out the back from Joe Pleasant. Welcome to the game.
Yeah, one of the only preseason all-conference picks on this Wildcat team, but there is sure a lot of talent. A young team, too, a lot of good freshman talent coming on as well, with a lot of combination of strong and talented experience.
Out of Overland Park, Kansas, Pleasant. Not only good defensively, but good offensively, too. And here is a foul, and this one's on Pleasant. Jonathan Jackson Jr. at 6'6", an athletic guy as well for Tarleton. He's back to the foul line again. Abilene Christian off to a 4-0 start. And Tarleton coming off of, can you call it an impressive loss? I think you can. Wednesday night at Texas A&M had a lead for a lot of that game and just lost by 7 points.
You know, anytime you are nearly a 30-point underdog and lead for a large portion of the game, that is a strong success for any program, especially a program as young as they are, only 2 games in to Division I.
Yeah, and Coach Gillespie telling us that, you know, the big takeaway from that A&M game, they were in it, thought they could win the game, played hard enough to win, didn't play smart enough to win, and that's what they're going to learn early on. But it was an impressive showing. Here's Reggie Miller. Now a drive. The Wildcats keeping it on the perimeter. Here's a foul defensively. Corian Mason, and Coach Joe Golding says Corian Mason's going to hit the floor 5, 6, 7 times a night. He's always out there diving for the basketball.
And a coach loves that kind of athlete, one who's obviously you want to protect your players, but also at the same time you want them to go and fight for that basketball. A great leader for this team.
9 guys on this roster for Abilene Christian with 3 or more years of experience. It's a veteran team for Abilene Christian. Clay Gaiman missing a 3. He hasn't done that a lot this year, but a second chance and another triple, this time Reggie Miller from downtown. Been a great start from the perimeter for ACU.
You've got to love the confidence that these Wildcats have outside right now.
That's Hicks into the paint, the freshman out of Arkansas. Got that one to go, a tough look too. Joe Pleasant had that one stripped from Jackson, and then the ball is thrown, and we got chaos on the floor. Boy, it's been a fun start. Abilene Christian hitting from the outside and leading by 4 early on.
For 45 years, Hanner Chevrolet GMC has helped business owners get the job done. And as your Business Elite dealer, we make sure you get the savings and service you deserve. Shop our great selection of work-ready trucks and vans in stock today and enjoy perks like hassle-free buying, priority service, and on-site upfits. And business owners, be sure to take advantage of year-end tax benefits. So stop by today and see why people drive from all over Texas to buy Hanner.
Abilene, Texas, and the Teague Center. Moody Coliseum, their normal home, is under renovation. And so what did they do? They transformed an indoor tennis court into a basketball facility. They did a heck of a job here in Abilene to get it ready to play basketball. You wouldn't even know they played tennis in this building.
Yeah, it's a truly incredible display that this administration, this university, has done to prepare for a basketball season, something that they've had a lot of success in the past couple of years.
And the Abilene Christian men and head coach Joe Golding in year number 10 with the program was the Southland Coach of the Year 2 years ago. And now has his Wildcats off to a 4-0 start, and that ball went out of bounds, and it went off of Shamir Bogues. And a turnover for Tarleton. Texans trying to solve this riddle offensively, off to an uneven start.
Yeah, 4 turnovers to start the first 5 minutes as we have a foul there.
Trying to get it to Clay Gaiman. Montre Gibson, haven't heard a lot from him. Charged with a foul. And Taj Small, the junior out of Durham, North Carolina, checks in. There's Golding, who has really transformed this program. Abilene Christian, hired in 2011 at his alma mater, and has won over 40 games over the last 2 years, and they're off to a 4-0 start this year. It's Pleasant. Back out Daniels. And just 5 to shoot for ACU, and that almost went in from Daniels. And how does the smallest guy on the floor get the rebound and the putback? How about that?
It looked like he was almost triple teamed inside the paint, but at 5'7", what a job there by Daniels.
Gibson draws the foul this time. for ACU. How about this from Daniels? You wouldn't know he's only 5'7".
And great effort. Look at that. Every Texan around him and somehow able to get the shot off. Great job by Daniels.
And Reggie Miller returning to the lineup for ACU, getting Mekhi Morris, who was in a few moments ago. And another missed shot. And just 7 points in about 6 minutes for Tarleton. Offensively, Clay Gaiman, one of the great three-point shooters. And another one from distance for ACU. They've come from 4 different guys.
Yeah, Gaiman had a solid performance. First game of the season, 5 for 5 from the three-point line to start the 2020 season. A good light up by Gaiman.
Floater, boy, good-looking shot. Montre Gibson, the junior out of DeSoto, Texas, doing everything right. He's averaging 15.5 points per game so far.
And you have to imagine we'll see him again on the offensive side.
We might go back to Gibson. He was a superstar against A&M on Wednesday. And here's Jackson again. Been kind of the focal point so far. It seems like Jonathan Jackson needs to touch the basketball each time down for Tarleton. Back to the Gibson play.
Yeah, Gibson, 17 phenomenal, or excuse me, going back to Gibson against Texas A&M, 23 points. And his first bucket there in this one. We'll expect to see more as the game continues, but a phenomenal athlete.
A couple of years ago, Jonathan Jackson was at the free throw line, scored 21 points in the JUCO National Championship game. He is a special player. Ranger College produces talent. Big reason why is because Billy Gillespie was there coaching him for 5 years. And brought a few of them with him to Tarleton. Jackson spent a year at Prairie View A&M. And now with the Texans, who are into double figures for the first time. A double team, and it did not matter. For Abilene Christian and Emmanuel Allen, who might just be a wild card for this team. They love his talent.
Yeah, great effort to push through, showing off a little bit of the muscle heading inside the paint. Good bucket there.
Now crossover, and here is Konstantin Datsenko, who stands at 6'7" out of Russia and has a deadly jump shot. Allen skipping it across. A lot of man-to-man for Tarleton. A lot of switching, and here's Miller. Couldn't get it, and this is a pinball rebound to the Texans. Trying to get a little momentum. And they believe it's going to start defensively. They have to figure out how to lock down Abilene Christian. It's tough to do because ACU is proving to be a good scoring offense, especially in the half court.
Yeah, despite the missed shot in that previous possession, ACU with some solid ball movement outside the perimeter. Sometimes the shot just won't fall, but 18 points in the first 8 minutes is something any coach should be happy with.
Fade away, and it knocks home for the Texans, and I tell you what, that was a good-looking jump shot. That's what they love. That's what Coach Gillespie loves about this team. There are times when he can put it in one of his players' hands, and they can just make something happen one-on-one. And they're going to start to learn to play together, and that's how you do it defensively.
And they're trying to catch a little bit of rhythm on offense, trying to score again on this possession.
Datsenko finding Small. Draws that double team. Jackson. And whose is it? It's going to go to Abilene Christian. Wildcats have been in front for most of this ball game and leading by 6 in the first half. Billy Gillespie, first year with Tarleton, and where he goes, he wins. He's a 4-time Coach of the Year. He's been at Tech and A&M and Kentucky, and he just wins basketball games.
Yeah, phenomenal coach over the years for all of those teams that he were listed there as the head coach, taking multiple tournament trips in the NCAA tournament, and now trying to create a solid winning program here at Tarleton.
Including taking Perennial blue blood Kentucky to the NCAA tournament. Arion Simmons offline for a three. Colton Cole, athletic rebound and a foul. It might be on Jackson inside. Colton Cole at 7 feet tall. He might be as confident as he's ever been in his time at ACU, according to Coach Joe Golding.
And that's key. If you want to see success inside the paint, it starts with confidence, and he's had that throughout early in this season, over 10 points per game.
The MVP down there in the tournament in Florida, as ACU went 3-0. Picked up a win on Tuesday over Division III's Howard Payne. Extra passing, Corian Mason. Couldn't get it to fall, and Arion Simmons throwing one up over his head on a putback. Here's a speed mismatch. Jackson getting in on Cole, but Cole wins the battle. This ACU defense has looked good.
Yeah, they've done a great job so far, and we knew this was going to be a defensive fight for both of these teams, and we've seen a little bit of that. There's been also some great scoring, though, from the outside with the Wildcats.
Looked like a shoulder from Arion Simmons in an offensive foul. His first. 5 fouls on each side. The Wildcats shooting 40% from the floor. Tarleton 44% on each side with 4 turnovers. Shakur Daniel, a junior out of Toronto, number 13 out there as well, and this is a second charge on Tarleton, and both have been taken by Corian Mason.
And he's proven he can do that time and time again. He does it here. A little bit of theatrics there, but that's something you have to do.
Is he moving?
You know, we can talk about that for the officials, but needless to say, Wildcats have the ball.
May have gotten away with one there. Logan McLaughlin into the ball game. This basket for Colton Cole doesn't count. And a foul on the floor on Freddie Hicks.
Yeah, definitely an interesting call on the other side of the court that we saw.
Let's take a look at this.
And that's a great pass inside, and something you love to see. And that's what you want to do. You want to feed your 7-footer anytime he's inside the paint.
And you can't take a charge under the arc. That's why the arc is there, and that's why that's a defensive foul, even if it looked like he may have been set. Cole at the free throw line. I've heard this from a few coaches. Billy Gillespie calls Colton Cole one of the great centers he's going to see purely because of his size, and maybe a surprisingly good free throw shooter for a big fella.
Yeah, despite that
right
miss
on cue,
there,
he misses.
Yeah, he misses right on cue, but still over 80% on the season. He's been there a lot, and that is so crucial. When you're a big man in any league, you want to be able to shoot the ball at the charity stripe anytime.
And Cole, a career 51% shooter from the field as well. That's 5th in Abilene Christian's Division I history. A foul on ACU, and at the line, Freddie Hicks, a freshman out of Arkansas, Searcy High School, where he was Searcy's all-time leading scorer with over 1,600 points. One of, as we've said, 15 new players on a roster for a team that goes from longtime Division II in the Lone Star Conference into Division I. Maybe you need to bring in new guys with a new coaching regime, and that's what they've done at Tarleton.
Yeah, it's a good combination of former players for this coach, but also some new talent. That's something to move forward as the years go on with a new program, a new team, as juniors and seniors graduate. This is set to be a winning program in the upcoming years.
Yeah, you got this Tarleton roster, 1 senior, 5 juniors, 11 underclassmen. Oh, by the way, 8 transfers.
It's a little bit of a new team.
Yeah, here's Hicks at the line once again. I tell you, Tarleton's hanging in this thing. It kind of feels like ACU's been in control so far, but you look at the scoreboard, it's just a 5-point game.
And that's all the Texans need, is to stay competitive. That's what they did against Texas A&M. They even had the lead against Texas A&M for a good portion of the first half. But if you keep it within single digits, it's a ball game.
Reggie Miller running point guard duties. And an interesting combination with Logan McLaughlin out there on the floor. Had a remarkable night Tuesday against Howard Payne. Here's Pleasant to the rack and an and one.
And that is exactly why he was picked Southland Conference preseason all-conference. This guy has a strong ability to take it inside the paint. Draws the foul there as well.
First points of the night for Pleasant.
All it took was one move to the right side, and he was already well past his defender there. And they want to see more of that for a player who missed last game due to injury. You want to get him healthy, but you also want to get a little bit of confidence back into his mindset.
And that foul was on Harry Galamulame for the Texans, the junior out of the Republic of Congo. And another Ranger College transfer. Datsenko trying to fit one in a tight space, and it's tapped away. And Abilene Christian defensively just continues to do their thing. ACU with the 6-point lead. And it's interesting, these two teams are longtime rivals. And in Division II, because they were in the Lone Star Conference together and played twice a year. And there's a meeting for the 42nd time. And Abilene Christian moves up to Division I in 2013. Tarleton, as we mentioned, just now moving up to Division I. Tarleton's dominated this series history. It's the 42nd meeting between the two.
And it's been a little while since that last meeting. A lot has changed, obviously, between both of these programs. Abilene Christian a little bit ahead of where Tarleton State wants to be, but Coach Billy Gillespie said he wants the model that Abilene Christian has in the coming years. Both of these programs have a lot of similarity to them, but they also want to be exactly what the other program is. So a lot of respect between these two programs, a lot of respect between these two coaches that have a lot of history together.
Yeah, Tarleton's won 15 out of 16 and 9 in a row against the Wildcats, but circumstances have changed a lot in 7 years. You said it, Tarleton wants to be what Abilene Christian has become, and it took time for Joe Golding and his staff to put this together for the Wildcats. And that's a near turnover. Just 10 to shoot for ACU. Pleasant, 3 seconds, gonna have to force one. Got it! Oh, wow, how did he do that?
And you can't cover it any better if you're Tarleton State. No room to shoot the ball, especially for a big man to shoot that deep with that kind of coverage. That's just tough.
Here's where Tarleton's trying to figure it out. Has not hit a field goal in 3.5 minutes. Datsenko has yet to attempt a three. He's a lethal one from the three-point line. He's got it here. It's a long two, and it's not going to count because of a travel. That's not going to count. And let's go back to Joe Pleasant's acrobatics.
Yeah, again, not a lot of time after a good defensive effort from Tarleton State with the swat of the ball. Not a lot of time with the shot clock. That's just a tough shot to make. Good job by Pleasant.
Mekhi Morris, number 12, the senior out of Philadelphia. What a story he's had in his just time at Abilene Christian. He's got the ball here, 8 to shoot. He's going to have a jump ball. 3 Tarleton defenders in the tie-up. The arrow's going to stay with Abilene Christian. And there was just 7 on the shot clock. I think they got to go back to 7. Yep, they will. 7 to shoot for ACU. There's Morris, though. I mean, played in 17 games last year, but then took a medical red shirt. Mason, does that count? Yes, it does. ACU has made some tough shots the last few possessions. Mason with an and one.
And that's why they're in the 8-point lead that they have right now, is just performances like that. I mean, that is a tough shot for anyone to make, and a phenomenal job by Mason in the previous possession. Phenomenal shot by Pleasant as the shot clock was set to expire.
Mason, a senior out of Oklahoma City. And where did he play before Abilene Christian? Ranger College for Billy Gillespie. So he's facing his old coach tonight. And gets the and one. Abilene Christian's lead is 11. It's a 7-0 run for ACU. And that's about to end here. Shakur Daniel, junior out of Toronto.
And a much-needed bucket. The Wildcats were starting to catch a much larger momentum swing on offense. Good response there.
Pleasant. Back to work. And the tip is out and a foul is on Mason to send us to a timeout. Abilene Christian trying to pull away and leads by 9.
Want to welcome all of you here and all of you watching online on this great day in Abilene Christian University history.
I want to invite you officially to join the Southland Conference on July 1, 2013. Thank you.
As exciting as the overall prospect of going Division I was for all of the many reasons, the first thing you think about if you're a sports fan, you think basketball.
To make a jump like this to the highest level of collegiate athletics, there is a lot of excitement in this community.
Away from Mason, it'll count if it goes, it's good! It's good! Mason buries the three-pointer!
Anytime you're trying to build something, you got to get the players in place first, and you got to change the locker room and the culture. And I mean, we've got a bunch of high-character kids and play the way we're supposed to play. The wins will come.
As excited as we were for all sports, everybody was thinking, maybe one day, March Madness, could it be? Yes! They can feel it all over ACU Nation.
For years, I trained to be the best linebacker on the field. That drive made me a top performer at the NFL Combine, and I played 5 seasons in the NFL. Now I'm working toward another dream, building my own business, training athletes to help improve their performance. I want to be the best businessman I can, so I'm getting my MBA at ACU.
Get your degree online at acu.edu.
I think one of the early differences tonight, Abilene Christian has hit 9 field goals. 4 of them are 3-pointers. Tarleton hasn't even attempted a 3 so far in a 9-point game.
And the Wildcats also almost getting off twice as many shots as Tarleton State. They have 19 compared to Tarleton's 10. That's a big difference. When you go down throughout the game, I think that's a big difference between both of these teams. It's just the shot attempts as well.
Tarleton, a team that has only attempted 37 threes. They've only made 13 and has yet to shoot one from the outside so far. They've been to the foul line 11 times, have hit 7 of them. Clay Gaiman, quiet offensive night so far. This ball's loose. Daniels, who's hit a 3 already, and now a fast break chance. And it's the 3rd charge of the half against Tarleton. This one's on Montre Gibson, and it's Daniels taking it this time.
And it's starting to become a big problem for Tarleton State. Is just a little too aggressive inside. You can question the calls. A few of them have been on those 50-50 whistles, but definitely a little too aggressive on these fast breaks for the Texans.
And actually Taj Small with the charge offensively. The transfer out of Troy. Makai Morris. We mentioned his story briefly, didn't really get a chance to get into it, but Morris, a senior out of Philly, last year played in 17 games, made a start, but then had medical issues with his intestines and couldn't play the rest of the year. They weren't sure what his future was going to be. And all of a sudden he's back out playing basketball and playing at a high level. It's been remarkable to watch him go through that transition, and Joe Golding's so proud of what he's seen from Makai Morris.
Yeah, that's something where you never want to see a situation like that for any player, especially at the level as competitive as he has been. But, you know, you start to question that, okay, this isn't just a basketball player. This is someone like you and me, struggling with the daily things that go on in everyone's life. And sometimes those things are not what we want to, not something we don't want to see, and we just have to face it head on. And just proud to see players like these get back out on the court, and you know that the coaches and his teammates are as well.
Yeah, it was a real medical issue. It was a lot of time in hospitals and trying to get better. And there was a travel on Gibson, a turnover for Tarleton. And the turnovers are becoming a little bit of a problem. That's 10 in the first half for the Texans.
Yeah, Coach Gillespie has talked about protecting the ball, an emphasis on that, and that's something they're going to need to change before we get to the break.
Gaiman has really made himself into a good scorer for Abilene Christian. Under 10 to shoot. Tough take. And it's usually Corian Mason who's in the middle of all of that. Draws a foul this time.
He's been really aggressive, but a lot of his shots have been typically coming outside the perimeter, 3 of his first 4 at least. He'll get the chance to shoot a couple more free throws here.
Mason, the young season for ACU, 75% from the foul line. Tonight, 2 for 2. One more coming. Abilene Christian has led for 12 of these 13 minutes so far. This first half, the lead's 10. Gibson for 3. That's the first attempt tonight from the three-point line for the Texans. An offensive rebound and a foul, and more free throws coming for Tarleton.
And I tell you, the way that Tarleton stays in this game is getting to the free throw line. This will be the 12th and 13th trip to the free throw line.
Meanwhile, just 5 of 8 is ACU at the stripe. Taj Small started his college career at Moberly Area Community College. He made the transfer and went to Troy and played in 29 games a year ago. At Tarleton, third school in 3 years. A lot of transfers, a lot of new faces, a lot of new pieces of shuffling and trying to get chemistry, which is so underrated. I don't think talked about enough. Getting chemistry between the 5 that are on the floor, between the guys that you're going to sub in and out. And they're just playing their 3rd game together. And when you don't have a lot of practice time this year due to COVID, it could take a little bit of time to figure all that out.
And I think that's something that Gillespie took note of, as we saw so many players that he coached just last season at Ranger College come and play for him. And I think that shows that there's not only a respect of coaching ability, but also respect between the players and the coach as a whole. Being able to recruit in that way is something of a rare feat, to say the least.
A foul with just 9 on the shot clock, a part of that double team with Shakir Daniel and Javante Hopkins. And there's been a lot of these instances where the shot clock is winding down at Abilene Christian. They've just been able to convert late when it matters most. Now Mason at the line again.
Yeah, the Wildcats really have been pushed outside the perimeter, at least what it seems to be the last 10 seconds of the shot clock. That's when the things change. Either they decide to simply force it and take it inside, try and draw a foul, or a little bit on the Texans side. A few slip-ups, a few missed coverages. But that's been the story on defense for Tarleton State. They got to play those final 10 seconds of each possession a little bit better.
5 players now with 2 fouls for the Texans. Could be challenging when we move forward into the second half, as we're at the 5-minute mark of half number 1. Tough take. Jackson couldn't convert. Feels like a pretty big defensive possession here for Tarleton. And is it a steal? This ball is loose. And did they get the timeout? What do we have? Bodies everywhere. Good hustle from Jonathan Jackson. And maybe it was a foul.
Yeah, I'm thinking it was a foul on Colton Cole after he tried to dive for the ball, landed on his leg.
And Cole charged with a turnover as well. Great hustle from Jackson. He's going to be at the line. And Coach Gillespie telling us, too, he wants his guys to get to the free throw line, but they don't want to put the other team at the line. Texas A&M 40 free throw attempts on Wednesday night in their close loss to the Aggies. But now they're kind of flipping the script and getting to the free throw line so far in this first half.
Yeah, allowing 40 free throw attempts. It's not exactly a winning combination, but that's something that seems to have been at least somewhat corrected in this first half.
Cameron Steele into the game for Abilene Christian. Devontae Hopkins returning for Tarleton. After everything that's taken place, you feel like it's all ACU, and it's really just a 7-point game. This ball's loose. We have seen a lot of strips, loose balls, guys diving all over the place. I think these are two teams that would qualify as scrappy.
Oh, without a doubt. I think that's what we kind of were at least hoping to see from our point of view. We saw two great defenses, and whenever you see that, you know that it's going to be a great fight between, just a phenomenal defensive system that both of these teams have.
I think these are two teams that can be dangerous this year. Tarleton is kind of an X factor just because you don't really know what to expect from a team that is literally in their third game as a Division I program. I don't want to just, beat that to death, but it's important to acknowledge that. I think Abilene Christian, on the other hand, has a chance to keep this 20-win thing going and what they've established at ACU. I think this is a really good team.
Yeah, this is a great team, and you mentioned that 20-win thing. They're going to have a few less games to get there, but it's going to be close. The way they've performed so far this season, that's a winning combination, not only for non-conference competition, but when it matters, too, when they joined the Southland back in January.
It's Arion Simmons. Oh, and the putback, Emmanuel Allen. High flying. Goes up and down for ACU.
Showing off a little bit of his hops there. Might as well get the crowd excited in Teague Center.
Very limited capacity this year, or at least through the remainder of 2020. There's a foul on Abilene Christian. A lot of restrictions. It's like pass lists and a few other folks who can be in the arena in Abilene. It's December the 5th. What do we have, 26 days left of 2020? We're almost to the finish line.
Almost there.
Another trip to the offensive end and another free throw for Tarleton. This is Daniel at the line.
And, there has been a lot of coaches that are just thankful. As we end near the 2020 year, just thankful to be, even on a basketball court, playing at the level and the competition that really we weren't sure if we were going to see this year.
Even if it's on a court that's in a tennis court.
It's better than nothing. And they will always tell you that. It's better than having nothing at all. You go back to March where, looking especially at Abilene Christian, a team that was looking to repeat as Southland Conference tournament champions, get back to the NCAA tournament, and that was just ripped away. And that every competitive basketball team suffered that loss.
The Southland Conference is fascinating this year. Stephen F. Austin, the favorite, a team that lost some really good talent. Kevon Harris signing with the Los Angeles Lakers. Abilene Christian, really, really good. A lot back from that team as well. Here is Simmons. 10 on the shot clock for ACU. And here goes the big fella. No dice that time. Here comes Tarleton. Boy, Gibson hung on to that somehow, and another charge. The fourth of the half, and it was Emmanuel Allen sending us to break with authority. So Tarleton has not hit a field goal in a little more than 4 minutes and face a 9-point deficit with 3.5 to play here in the first half. How about this from Emmanuel Allen? They call him Manny, one of the more athletic guys you'll see.
Yeah, just showing off his vertical there. That's any kind of player that any coach would love to have on their roster, someone who can just bring an extra amount of energy, not only to a game, but also in practice with slams like that.
Second year at ACU, first year playing, took a red shirt last year after transferring from Butler Community College. And they are thrilled to get him on the floor. Abilene Christian in front by 9. Daniels, and now Cameron Steele with a three-point attempt. That's no good. Steele, the freshman out of Minnesota. Excelsior, Minnesota. Rise and fire. And Dotsenko, no good. Tarleton scored 26 in the first half against A&M and held a lead. Very low scoring first half in College Station. A much higher scoring, 49-40 half in the second half there, but struggling once again offensively in this first half here at ACU.
Yeah, what kept them in that Texas A&M matchup and keeping them in this game here against Abilene Christian has been their defense. That has been the sole relier on this early season, an early opportunity to face some great competition. And they're going to have to rely on their offense to do a little bit more in the coming games this season.
11 Wildcats have played in this first half. Here's Cameron Steele, the freshman, scored 6 points against Howard Payne on Tuesday in a blowout victory, 81-51. Tarleton in the half court. Awkward looking shot from Hopkins. And again, Abilene Christian coming up with a loose ball. Two good defenses, it's what we've seen so far this first half. Here's Miller. How about 3 guards, and all 3 are left-handed for Abilene Christian.
And great defense there from Tarleton.
Bogues to the rack in transition, draws a foul. Shamir Bogues, a freshman, 1,000-point scorer in high school. Athletic at 6'4". I love what this kid brings to the table.
And doing a good job also inside with 3 rebounds in the first half.
Tarleton's missed a few free throws in this first half. And now they've missed their 7th free throw of this half. They're, 11 of 18 so far. So there's some opportunities out there. They're getting to the line at an outstanding clip.
And Abilene Christian also a lot of missed opportunities. They're right now just shooting 50% at the free throw line, 6 for 12. So a lot of points left off the scoreboard for both of these teams.
In an 8-point game, 1.5 minutes to go. This is a fun matchup that is exciting, that may become a little more normalized again with both of these teams in the Division I ranks. Daniels thought about it. Miller will take it. Knocks it down from the corner.
That's three-pointer number 2 for Miller. He's starting to catch a little bit more steam as we near the break.
ACU now 5 of 16 from the three-point line, and Daniels may have slipped out of his hand after the steal.
Yeah, and he knew he made a mistake right there, right? Just by the facial expressions, you can tell he's a little frustrated. A missed opportunity.
One of the rare fast break chances. ACU with 2 fast break points in the half. But they're winning because of this end of the floor. It's their defense. Reggie Miller forcing another loose ball on Montre Gibson. And a jump ball.
And just some solid solid effort inside for the Wildcats. Tarleton doing a great job inside the paint on their side, and so are the Wildcats, just swarming the loose ball there.
And that's where they think this coaching staff for Abilene Christian has probably been the most impressed with Reggie Miller. He can facilitate, he can shoot the ball. His defense, locking down guys like Montre Gibson, that's no easy task.
And it's something that Coach Golding loves about his team is the defense. The offense can be great, but the defense has to be consistent for him. Miller does that.
And then Gibson does that, hits a tough shot. The timeout called by Tarleton. So you got a Tarleton team that opened the year with a blowout win over Dallas Christian, just trying to get a game at home and open the season. Then they go to A&M, and it's just a 7-point game. Now coming here to Abilene Christian, and they're hanging in down 9 points.
And that's all they really need to do in the first half is just let's keep this a competitive game and play for the second half, because these games are going to be possibly defined by the free throw line. They've gotten there 19 times in the first half. That is phenomenal for any away team to head on a road matchup to face an Abilene Christian team. To get to the free throw line as much as they have in the first half has kept them in this game.
And they're going up. It's a tough task for them because Abilene Christian has been such a defensive-oriented team over the years, and they rank in the top 30 in 4 different defensive categories in the country so far. And they've done it against good competition. That's what's been impressive about Joe Golding's squad. And now full court pressure from Tarleton. Miller with 6 points draws a foul. Not Cinco coming over to help out. That should turn the shot clock off. Yep. 25 seconds to go. Miller to the line. ACU is 6 out of 12 from the stripe as a team in the half.
And they've struggled on the season, just 59% from the charity stripe. That's something that they're going to need to really focus on more throughout the year.
Yeah, so figure this. Abilene Christian's 11th in the country in free throw attempts, and they are 243rd in free throw percentage. Hasn't been so good at making the most of these opportunities, and that's going to be what you need in conference play when January rolls around. Miller hits 2. An 11-point lead.
You want to get this into single digits if you're Tarleton in these final seconds.
What do we have? Blocking foul this time. Clay Gaiman trying to get in to the charge fun. And it's a defensive foul and free throws with 10 seconds. Gaiman's first foul of the night.
So at this point in time, unless something changes, Tarleton's going to have at least half of their first half points come from the free throw line. That is something.
Crazy. It's keeping them in the game. That was the 20th attempt. This is the 21st attempt from the stripe in the half. Jonathan Jackson. He makes this. And it rattles out. And Abilene Christian a chance with 6 seconds. They need to go a little quicker. 2 seconds. Miller offline. And Abilene Christian holds a 10-point lead at the break, halftime. And Abilene coming up. '25 over Tarleton as part of the West Texas Classic. Halftime here as we welcome you back inside our studio. Zach Carlisle alongside Owen Simpson. A fascinating first half in a couple of different ways. Very defensive oriented, as we thought that it would be. These are two good defenses, but they're doing it in different ways. Tarleton's doing everything from the free throw line. Abilene Christian hitting some outside shots.
Yeah, that's been the big factor for both the teams. For Tarleton, over half of their total points in the first half coming free throw line. And then with Abilene Christian, a big question coming into this season is who would shoot the three-pointer for ACU? Well, that's been the big factor for them.
How about our impact players? Montre Gibson, the impact player for Tarleton. I think Abilene Christian has done a really good job, in particular Reggie Miller guarding him, just 6 points in that first half.
Yeah, he hasn't really had the opportunity to have the ball in his hands as much as he would like. Only 3 of 4 shooting, but he's been efficient when he's had the opportunity to strike. Not a lot of scoring again from both of these teams, but he has been efficient, but the defense has just been swarming on Tarleton State.
And Gibson's only attempted 1 3-pointer, and that's the only 3-point attempt for the Texans in that first half. But Gibson, you know he's going to be a factor in the second half. Here's a guy who dropped 23 against Texas A&M, and he has, he's going to be a factor. On the other side, Corian Mason was our guy that we were going to talk about in the first half for Abilene Christian, our impact player coming in, and he's one of the leading scorers in the game.
Yeah, I mentioned that Corian Mason isn't the guy who's going to blow you away with the stat numbers, but he's doing a pretty good job with that for as low of a scoring game as it's been. 8 points with the Wildcats in the first half. The other 8 points also coming from Reggie Miller, so both of those leading scorers for both teams in this one, but he's done a good job facilitating the ball on offense along with playing some solid defense.
Yeah, and Mason has done his thing at the free throw line, 3 of 5 at the line for Abilene Christian in the first half. But again, the free throw discrepancy is so different. It really slowed the pace down in the first half, and I'm curious to see if the pace is going to pick up at all. But again, these are defenses that lock you down in the half court.
Yeah, it was a long first half, nearly an hour out on the court for both of these teams, but again, the free throws is going to be a big factor in the second half, with Tarleton shooting 21 free throws in the first half.
One of the question marks going into this game was Joe Pleasant for Abilene Christian. Here's a guy who is a huge factor for them. He's dealt with injury over the last couple of games, and so they weren't sure what we were going to get, not in the starting lineup, but he's produced when he's been in there in a handful of minutes in the first half.
Yeah, missing the last game due to a leg injury. He sat out against Howard Payne. This is his first time playing a basketball game in Teague Center, and he's done a good job in the limited minutes he's had. Just 9 minutes in the first half, but pulling off some wild shots like that as the shot clock expires. A good performance at home.
Yeah, 2 of 3 from the floor for his 4 points. And yeah, he's been a factor for Abilene Christian. I think they're going to need him, probably not only in this game, but the rest of the season. They may do some monitoring of his minutes over the next handful of weeks to make sure that he's ready to go for conference play.
Yeah, the Wildcats think that they are really deep inside the paint. That's where they want to emphasize their offense this season, but they've done a lot outside in this game. They want to feed the ball a little bit more as the game progresses, and as Pleasant heals, they're going to start feeding that ball more inside the paint.
It's interesting. Tarleton has a higher field goal percentage in the game than ACU, 40% to 39%, and they've attempted 13 less shots from the field. It's just a fascinating first half, and it's just these two defenses are really, really good, and they can win in different ways.
Yeah, second chance points have been hard to come by for Tarleton State. It's a miss, and then it's a defensive rebound, but Abilene Christian has had a few second chance opportunities, not capitalized on a lot. That's why it's only a 10-point lead for ACU. But again, free throws for Tarleton State have been key in the first half. They're going to need to rely on that again, driving inside on offense.
What are you expecting in the second half of this game? I think Tarleton is trying to figure out what they can do in the half court offensively. ACU kind of likes this formula. What are you expecting in the second half?
Yeah, you have to imagine head coach Joe Golding for Abilene Christian really emphasized, look, they've had a chance to get to the free throw line 21 times. That is inexcusable. We have to stop them. They can't just drive in as easily as they have. And then for Tarleton State, it's just to avoid this one-dimensional offense. Only one attempt outside the perimeter. You don't have to be a three-point shooting team, but you can't be a one-dimensional offense where you only get one shot off outside the perimeter. You can't do that.
How important is chemistry? I mean, you got an Abilene Christian team who brings back so many guys that have played together over the last couple of years. Tarleton's so new. That feels like something that matters in a game like this.
And it does a little bit, but then with Coach Gillespie bringing in a completely different team that Tarleton State has, but not necessarily a different roster that he's used to, with Ranger College having 5 players that he coached either last year or the year before. I think that's the opportunity to try and bring together this team that does know each other. At least some of them know each other. But again, that's, I think, a big factor in the long run for these games is the team chemistry. And we'll see what happens in the second half.
But a lot of talent for Tarleton, too.
Without
so
a doubt.
you can figure that can take over and get you right back into this. They've hung around. It's a 10-point game. And let's do this. 20 more minutes of basketball to be played. 2 good coaches, 2 athletic teams, 2 former rivals. I'm excited for the second half. Abilene Christian opens with it, and Tarleton opens with a lot of backcourt pressure. Reggie Miller, one of the more underrated players on this roster, probably for Abilene Christian. Maybe doesn't get talked about enough. 10 to shoot. Cole looking for the high-low into Simmons, and it's taken away. Shakir Daniel with that strip, and then Miller takes one right back. His defense, they rave about it in Abilene. Mason, spot up. Offline on the 3. Tarleton maybe a little out of control at times. I don't know, having that turnover bug a little bit.
Both of these teams having the turnover bug. First 50 seconds, you already have 3 turnovers, but 2 of them from Tarleton. I don't know what is going on.
It's ugly.
It is.
And that's in the paint, and that is a beauty from Arion Simmons.
Good to get a bucket for him, starting 0 for 3 in the first half. Gets a field goal to fall. Maybe more on the way.
Tarleton and half-court execution. Jackson's been kind of the guy who's holding it all together for Tarleton. 7 points, and all 7 have come from the foul line. Abilene Christian currently with their largest lead of this game. Mason couldn't convert. Daniels spots up and hits a triple. The lead is 15 for ACU.
And despite being at the guard spot, not fond typically of the 3-point shot, but he's got 2 of his 3 season 3-pointers in this game.
Damian Daniels.
And he hit 1 3-pointer in the first half. There's the second one. And they've done a good job for Abilene Christian. Creating that shot was to drive in, leaving the defenders also went inside trying to get that rebound. Good job by Daniels. Good momentum swing.
Daniels known for his assist numbers since he's come to Abilene. Oh, a big-time take. Jonathan Jackson with authority.
And over the 7-footer. That is a tough feat to do. But a great boost there for Tarleton.
I don't know how he didn't get a foul call in there for an and 1. Daniels misses that 3. Tarleton needed a spark. Maybe that provided it a little bit. Jackson has 9, and it's a game high in points. That was his first field goal. And now a floater, and that's good with an and 1. Jonathan Jackson, the senior out of Fort Worth. How about that dunk a few possessions ago?
Yeah, that is taking it up and slamming it down right when the Wildcats look to be pulling away with a 15-point lead. You have a strong dunk, a good defensive stop, and a chance for an and 1 here.
Jackson, 15 points last time out. And he misses that, but he scored 4 in a row. And he's now 7 of 11 at the free throw line. A backcourt foul on Freddie Hicks, the Texans.
They've got to be careful, starting to get into foul trouble early. So that's foul number 4 on Hicks, and then they've also got 2 players with 3 fouls. That's Daniel and Small. They've got to be careful if they want to finish out this second half.
They have to rely a little more on their bench. We know Abilene Christian's not afraid to go deep into the bench, playing double-digit guys each night. 11-point game. Entertaining basketball. Joe Pleasant. A one-hander offline.
And good defense there, avoiding that hook shot.
Extended it on. Clay Gaiman was in there defensively. And there have been a lot of charges on Tarleton in the game tonight.
Yeah, we've seen this a few times. You start to wonder if it's the Wildcats doing a great job on defense or Tarleton State just a little too aggressive inside. Could be a little bit of both, but a good job there by Gaiman.
Clay Gaiman, a quiet night. 3 points. Takes a charge. That's 5 charges on Tarleton. It's a 3. Logan McLaughlin offline. And now Gibson. And the putback. That's great effort in transition for Tarleton. That's just athletics. It's Shakur Daniel. A foul again. Konstantin Datsenko out of Russia. Grew up north of the Arctic Circle. And I found an interesting nugget the other night watching Tarleton play in the SEC network, talking about how cold it is where he's from. Negative 40 degrees the temperature right now back where he's from in Russia.
Well, if you wanted to change that, I guess Texas is the place.
That's right. Come down towards the equator. Here is a 3 and almost an incredible putback. It looks like a foul on Tarleton to send us to a timeout. Abilene Christian has been holding on to this lead all evening long. Well, a nice 6-0 run for Tarleton, keeping them in this game. That was important because it was starting to grow for Abilene Christian. They built up a lead of 15 early on, and they needed that to stay alive in the game.
Yeah, their largest lead that Abilene Christian had in this game, and it's going to be a game of runs. When the offense starts rolling, and it will, it's going to be a game of runs for both of these teams, and a good job by Tarleton to get a good stop.
Abilene Christian at the line, Emmanuel Allen. Redshirt sophomore to Lake Oswego, Oregon. Good player that they feel his potential, his ceiling, very, very high. And he's going to start to get into the mold with Abilene Christian. It just seems like they keep bringing up and talent and developing really, really well. Billy Gillespie talked to us about that, and he admired what Abilene Christian has done, just building and pulling guys out of the woodwork and developing players.
Yeah, the great thing about Gillespie is the relationship that he's been involved in at Abilene Christian. Back at Ranger College, he would come to ACU practices and games and give Coach Golding a few tips on what he felt was going well, what he thought needed a little bit of improvement. And Coach Golding has taken a big credit to Gillespie at where the program is now because of his critiques.
That is turnover number 17 on Tarleton in the game. Abilene Christian's turned it over just 8 times, now 9 times, and right on cue. It's a takeaway from Shamir Bogues, who lays it in. Just when you think Abilene Christian's gonna do it again. There's an alley-oop, and it's Allen living above the rim. High-flying acrobatics.
And he floated on that alley-oop. And now you wonder if Abilene Christian is going to have a run of their own.
Wow. Another charge. This one on Bogues. Taken again by ACU. 6 charges in the game. Back to the alley-oop.
And from Miller up to the top. And what a pass, what a dunk. Well done there by Allen.
I tell you, the pass is impressive too, because that is so tough. Coming from Reggie Miller, playing quarterback right there, well done. But just when you think Abilene Christian's going to pull away, Tarleton comes right back. Now Pleasant misses the 3. And for Joe Pleasant, he's now 0 for 3 on the young season from the 3-point line. Safe to say not his strength.
Definitely not his strength, but he's done a better job as the seasons have gone on from his freshman year to where he is now. He really improved that 3-point shot in a couple of games that we saw last season for Abilene Christian.
This is a take by Jackson. Draws a foul, I think Clay Gaiman. Gets charged with a penalty this time. Not a lot of foul trouble for Abilene Christian. Colton Cole's got 3, so he's on the bench for ACU. Outside of that, not a lot going on, but this has become a theme. Jonathan Jackson paying rent at the free throw line, the Teague Center. He's 8 for 13.
And Tarleton had a chance for some second chance points, but can't get it to fall. So again, another missed opportunity for Tarleton State to trim down on this lead.
Shakur Daniel upset at that, and he actually leaves the game.
Yeah, and that's foul number 4 on Daniel. So Daniel has 4. He's leading the team for the Texans in rebounds. He's got 7 of them.
Ten-point game. It's been right around a 10-point game most of the way. Pleasant. He's made some really tough shots tonight and almost added another one. Back door, Bogues draws a foul. Pleasant trying to stay upright and maybe try to take another charge.
Yeah, he was arguing, look, my hands are up. I'm up straight. Shouldn't be a foul on me, but looks like he might pick up his 3rd foul in his limited playing minutes today.
Shamir Bogues back to the stripe. He's 1 for 2, 5 points for the game. It's the 25th free throw tonight for Tarleton. Bogues scored over 1,000 points in high school in 2 seasons. Pretty darn good career. His brother Shannon played at Stephen F. Austin and in the Milwaukee Bucks organization and is now playing overseas. Shannon Bogues. Talented family. Nine-point difference. We might see this backcourt pressure from Tarleton the rest of the night.
Yeah, Coach Golding said that this game is going to be a war. It's going to go down to the final minutes, and we're seeing that here. It's a defensive battle. A lot of bodies have been on the floor throughout this game.
Daniels to Allen. Pleasant, strong offensive rebound, and he's going to go to the line.
And a great job after the rebound, muscling forward to try and get that closer layup. Shot won't fall, but he's going to take those 2 free throws no matter what.
A lot of fouls tonight. count 40 personal fouls in the game.
And that one on Dutsenko for number 4 for him. So Tarleton State, 3 players with 4 fouls, 2 with 3.
Joe Pleasant, you've mentioned it a couple of times, preseason first team All-Southland. This year coming in was a second team All-Conference player a season ago. Missed the last 2 games of the regular season last year with an injury. And they thought they were going to have him back when the Southland Conference tournament started, and the tournament never really got started. As we all know, the world shut down in March. And there was no Southland tournament, there was no NCAA tournament. It's the longest off-season to date for college basketball. The season didn't start until November the 25th. Oh, Small, that's a great pass. And unable to finish was Galamulume inside. Mason had that one rejected. Bogues. So talented defensively.
And a good job by Mason, a quick attack inside, but a better defense. Good job by Bogues protecting the paint.
It's that 6'4" wingspan of Bogues. Colton Cole back in the lineup. And a turnover on an offensive foul for ACU. How about the Wildcats? 1 of their last 9 from the field. But Tarleton hasn't capitalized. We're kind of falling into a stalemate here. It's a pitcher's duel, I guess you could say.
Still no advantage for either of the teams in the second half. 10-10, 8 minutes in.
Defenses have been spectacular. 8 to shoot. Gibson kicks it out, and that's a long jumper. And now a jump ball, and it's Daniels in there. It's crazy how Damian Daniels seems to be involved in almost every play, and he stands at 5'7".
Yeah, he's 5'7", but he also has been crucial inside the paint. Take a look once again, that miss off of Tarleton. The ball goes down, and that is something that guards love to take advantage of, is when the ball is taken below the waist of a taller defender or if an offensive player, they take full advantage of that.
Blocking foul this time. Taj Small draws it on Emmanuel Allen. And Small goes to the stripe.
And both of these teams without a field goal in the past 3 minutes.
Whew. That's the 4th foul on Allen for ACU, and he leaves the game. And Tobias Cameron checks in for the Wildcats for the first time tonight, the redshirt junior out of Australia. So Small, a couple of games ago, scoring 18 points. Tonight, 2. He's only attempted 1 field goal, and both of his points have come from the free throw line.
But he's also been making an impact inside with those 7 rebounds too. So not necessarily showing up in the positive manner like you see in previous games, but certainly making an impact for his team.
It's a game high 7 boards, and hits the free throws. Look, it's an 8-point game. This thing is wide open still with 12 minutes to go.
And that's something that Tarleton State wanted to have. Just make it a game for the final 12 minutes. They've done that. Now the question is, can they finally cut into this lead that they've been trailing in? It's been 6, 7, 8, 9 points really throughout the entire game.
Mackay Morris. That's a big 3 for Abilene Christian. It's the 7th triple of the game for ACU.
And that's exactly why Tarleton State hasn't been able to cut down in the lead. Right when they get something rolling, Abilene Christian strikes back.
Turnover on Tarleton. Big 3 for Morris to push the lead back to 11 at the under 12 media.
and we're telling ACU's story through the perspective of students and for students, and I think that's just a really unique experience.
To work at ACU TV is probably the best experience you will get in a college setting.
Being able to do it for football games like out here is like, for game days experience, it was awesome. Being able to see your shots and then being able to look back at it and saying like, wow, that was my shot, it was awesome.
So in my experience during basketball season was amazing. The work on the floor, getting to teach people, and then also getting to be right there with the basketball players. I couldn't compare it to anything I had done before.
ACU has given me so many opportunities that I would have never had at another school. As soon as I started my freshman year, I just dove straight into it. They let me technical direct for ESPN games. I started making features that were shown on ESPN.
This is something that almost no university in America can really offer to their students. To be able to go on air on ESPN and ESPN production for a college student is something that a lot of people don't even think is possible. But here at ACU TV, we're given that opportunity. We're given an opportunity to grow and just be able to experience an atmosphere unlike any of us have seen before.
For us to show that this campus is more than just football or more than just basketball is so important.
We're here for the campus. We're here to better the community and show that ACU has a lot of great things going on.
And something that I think is super exciting and really beneficial for the ACU community is we do everything. We have a little bit of something for everybody, and I think that that kind of just elevates in saying we're focused on everybody in community as a whole, and I think that that's really important, and ACU TV does a really good job of showing that.
My favorite
It's an
thing
interesting
about
game tonight. You got Abilene Christian in front by 11. It feels like it's hovered around a 9, 10, 11-point lead. But Tarleton's just hanging in this thing. They're not out of this by any means, but it's odd because it kind of feels like Abilene Christian's been in control.
Yeah, and I think that has to be because Abilene Christian has shot nearly twice as many shots as Tarleton State has. They've had 42 shot attempts. Tarleton State just 24. That is something that when you look at, you think a blowout.
I expected it to be low scoring. I think both of us did, but this is on the extreme end of that. Makai Morris, he's got 5 straight for ACU. Wildcats are the first one to 50.
And now you have to wonder if anyone else will get to 50.
The way Tarleton's been going, they've really struggled at this end of the floor. Turnovers have been a problem too, 19 of them. Small floater, got it.
And that shot, it is a lot tougher to do than just to watch. That is a beautiful floater by Small. Get some offense rolling now for Tarleton State. They need it, trailing double digits.
Simmons. Inside, double and 3 times clutching it, and he draws a foul. Veteran move by a sophomore.
And sooner or later, you're going to jump on that. But a good pump fake, good patience by Simmons to get to the free throw line.
Arion Simmons. He's a guy who played in 31 games a year ago, was second on the team in rebounds. And they kind of called him a spark plug at times coming off the bench. They just loved what he brought and the energy that he brings to the team. And kind of sometimes is out there dancing and having fun and brings a lot to the program.
Yeah, it's the defense especially that this team loves to see from him. A great defender. Had a lot of steals too for his limited minutes he saw as a freshman.
Hits that free throw. Lead is 12 for ACU. Now, where does Tarleton go? You look at this. Gibson, Small, and Doncinco are their 3 leading scorers, and they're averaging 38 points per game combined. Tonight, just 12 between the 3 of them. And it's been a challenge. They're going to need their stars to make plays down the stretch in the final 10 and a half minutes.
And especially the situation they find themselves in right now, it's going to be crucial.
Reggie Miller can guard duties. And he's open. See if they isolate Colton Cole in the paint. There he is. One-on-one. Cole Can't get the roll, but drew the foul first. Kind of a late whistle on Harry Galamulame, junior out of the Congo. And Colton Cole's back to the line.
Yeah, not a lot of shot attempts. Make that actually 0 shot attempts. Any shot attempt he's had, he's drawn a foul.
Just the 1 point. And his free throws have been his points tonight. He's 2 of 4. Rather, 2 of 3. This is his 4th attempt. So right now, a 14-point game. This couple of minute stretch down to the 8-minute timeout, I think is very important for Tarleton to keep this thing close.
And Tarleton has to do what they did in the first few minutes, and that's avoid turnovers right there.
And Simmons lays it in transition, and this is now the largest lead of the evening for Abilene Christian.
Yeah, Tarleton has to get something rolling on offense. It's been a long time since they've had at least some consistency on that side of the court.
ACU has forced 21 turnovers. Acrobatic spin and a block from Mason.
And you can't ask for much more in that sequence. A beautiful move to create an open shot there. A nice little spin off of Simmons and the shot up, but wait just a second. Mason with a solid block there.
Those were our impact players too. Gibson with the spin and Mason with the deny. 2 spectacular talents. Mason is a stat stuffer for ACU. He does just a little bit of everything. For Joe Golding's team, that's Miller with the steal. Rather, Morris with the steal and couldn't finish. Inside, Makai Morris. Opportunity for Tarleton and a big 3. Boy, did they need that in the worst possible way. A big triple for Dotsinko, his first points of the night. Back to a 13-point game in Abilene.
An explosive dunk, a fast break, and the thrill of victory. Basketball is back, and so is the Southland Conference Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament in Katy. March 10th through the 14th at the Merrill Center. Get your tickets online at Ticketmaster.com. The countdown to Katy has begun.
For years, I trained to be the best linebacker on the field. That drive made me a top performer at the NFL Combine, and I played 5 seasons in the NFL. Now I'm working toward another dream, building my own business, training athletes to help improve their performance. I want to be the best businessman I can, so I'm getting my MBA at ACU.
Get your degree online at acu.edu.
Here's a look behind the scenes. These are the real ones running the show. We just, the ones talking over the top of it. Hutton Harris and this student-run crew at ACU TV doing a wonderful job helping produce our West Texas Classic here tonight. Abilene Christian with a lead by a baker's dozen. And, you know, Tarleton, first-year D1, has put together an incredible schedule. Coming to ACU, look where they're going next. Hopefully that game happens with number 1 Gonzaga up there in Spokane, at number 6 Kansas, and at Pepperdine. Some key road games in December. Gonzaga had issues with COVID, and their game against Baylor was canceled yesterday.
And I have to tell you, that's probably going to be the toughest week that these players may ever see, with Gonzaga and Kansas back-to-back on the road. It does not get much tougher than that, but it's a great experience for these guys, not only to bond together as a team, but also to get ready for the games that matter when it comes to conference competition.
Big influence, too, is Coach Billy Gillespie. He knows guys like Mark Few, who's the coach at Gonzaga. He knows Bill Self, the head coach at Kansas. He was in with Texas A&M and with Texas Tech. He has been to Allen Fieldhouse a bunch of times up there and Kansas, and so him telling us about that schedule, look, we're going to play the best. I want to play the best, and I want to play the best every year, not just those guarantee games early on to get a monetary benefit. They want these guys to play the best of the best, and no doubt they're going to do that. It's a heck of a schedule. 13-point game. Colton Cole, a hammer inside. ACU starting to find a groove offensively.
And he had good position inside. All he needed was a good pass, and he got that two-hand slam for the big man.
Abilene Christian has hit 4 of their last 5 from the field. Floater, Hicks couldn't get it. Feels like a lot of momentum with the Wildcats, and that pass tapped away. Out of bounds by Jackson.
Yeah, take a look one more time inside when it comes to Colton Cole. He has a little bit of a second of advantage. Get his hand in front. Good job by the big man to create that separation.
Damon couldn't get it. You know, Jonathan Jackson did as much as he could. He's a great player, but he's only 6'6". Well,
a little bit of a difference.
A 6-inch height advantage for Cole. Now Jackson. He dragged the foot. Yes, he did. It's a travel. Frustration settling in. Turnover number 23 for the Texans.
And it's hard to win games when you have turnovers that go over 20, especially when you're on the road.
Coach Gillespie telling us Cole for 3. Wow! From the outside, the big fella extending his range, his second three-pointer of the year.
And you have to imagine that a lot of things are going right when your 7-footer pulls up from 3 and drills it.
Looked like he's been doing that his whole life, too. That very confident shot. An 18-point lead. But Coach Gillespie telling us his team has been playing hard enough to win, not smart enough to win. Turnovers have been a big part of that as well. Loose ball again, another takeaway. Gaiman in the clear. A 20-point advantage, and the route is on for Abilene Christian, approaching 7 minutes to go.
Well, the offense has finally started rolling for Abilene Christian. The question now, can Tarleton respond on offense?
Big 3 if it goes, and it's not even close from Hicks. 8 for 26 is ACU from the three-point line. Big turning point in this game. It's currently a 7-0 run for the home team. Cole couldn't get the baby hook. A 20-point game.
And a great job by the Wildcats on offense. 5 players with 8 points. They've done a great job spreading the ball out.
On another charge. Another one taken by ACU. They're having fun in their home arena. Up 20. Abilene Christian pushing this lead to 18 points. And they've nearly scored as many points in the second half as they did in the whole first half. And a comfortable lead at home over Tarleton. It's been an impressive second half for these Wildcats.
Yeah, Abilene Christian has done a great job at spreading the ball out on offense in the scoring column. Not a single Wildcat has hit double figures yet, but a lot of players have scored.
Cross-court pass. Miller back to Daniels, and another triple, the third of the night for the junior.
And what a night it has been outside the perimeter for Daniels. Not fond of that three-pointer, but he has been fond of it tonight.
9 triples for the Wildcats. A 21-point lead. Dotsinko gonna release. Abilene Christian on their way to a 5-0 start. And they would be 5-0 now for the second time in the last 3 years. 2 years ago, worked out pretty well for ACU going to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, the first trip for these Wildcats to such a big tournament. And you have to imagine that the expectations are at or possibly even higher than what they were 2 years ago with this program. A lot of experience with these Wildcats this year. That's something that's going to be crucial down the stretch.
It was a disappointing March, obviously, for so many reasons. There's no question about it. In particular, Abilene Christian, they really thought they had a great chance at playing in that Southland Conference Tournament Championship game. Many thought around the league it was going to be Abilene Christian against Stephen F. Austin. We may be headed towards that again this year. Those are the two favorites in the league again, and that's always fun when those two teams get together. They'll get together twice in the regular season. Different Southland schedule this year. It's usually a 20-game league schedule. It's only 16 this season. You're going to play 8 different teams twice, and there will be 4 teams that you do not play at all. Kind of a goofy setup for a schedule, and a lot of leagues have changed kind of the format to what they want to do in conference play. It still feels like we're kind of far away from league play, but it's really only a few weeks away starting in early January.
Yeah, it's something when you talk about a few games being left out of that schedule, that can really impact the final standings, where some teams may have a little bit tougher competition in the Southland compared to other teams. I know Abilene Christian, they have both Sam Houston State and SFA twice, so that's 2 great teams that they have to face combined 4 times, so that's definitely something that can impact your schedule.
Loose, it's out of bounds to Abilene Christian. It goes off of Shakir Daniel. And it was Damian Daniels defending. That's been the theme of the night. ACU's defense, when it matters, has done what they needed to do, and Tarleton hasn't had answers.
Yeah, turnover number 28 for Tarleton. Abilene Christian loves to force turnovers throughout this season. They do it again tonight. A big reason they come out on top.
What do you think about Tarleton going forward? I think there's a lot of potential here. And in a season where they're not eligible for the WAC tournament or the NCAA tournament, first-year D1, there's going to be a lot of growing pains, but I like the potential from this team.
Yeah, there's a lot of optimism with this program, with the university, a new university president. There's a lot in store for this Tarleton team. I wouldn't be shocked one day in a very, we could say maybe a few years from now, this team may be in the NCAA tournament.
It's a 4-year ban, as they call it, to start it, where you can't go to the NCAA tournament. That ball out of bounds to Tarleton, and a near basket from Jamison Richardson. Paul Hippler into the game as well for Abilene Christian. ACU high expectations, and I think rightfully so. This is a pretty good basketball team.
And a team to start off 5-0, fulfilling those expectations so far. Much to be said, though, as we head into a 2021 with Southland Conference competition. A lot of different looking teams that Abilene Christian will face compared to just a season ago. And then Tarleton State, their conference competition on the way as well.
Yeah, a part of the WAC, the Western Athletic Conference. That'll be an interesting schedule too, where they're playing teams literally in back-to-back nights. They'll play the same team in back-to-back nights and try to limit travel scheduling. I've seen a lot of conferences schedule it that way. Into the paint and a bucket for Daniel. Final 6 seconds will tick away at Abilene Christian, a 21-point win over Tarleton. And ACU is 5-0 for the second time in 3 years. Fun game tonight here in the Teague Center. Once again, the final score is Abilene Christian 69 and Tarleton 48. This has been a presentation of the Southland Conference on ESPN. All games airing on the ESPN networks or streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. Until next time, Zach Carlisle, Owen Simpson. So long, take care. Good night from Abilene, Texas.